The Lorax, written and illustrated by Dr. Seuss, published by Random House Publishers. At the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood just as long as it could before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax, and why is it there? And why is it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, the old Onceler still lives here. Ask him. He knows. You don't see the Onceler. Don't knock on his door. He stays in his lurkum on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkin on cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of muffled moof. And on special dank nights, in midnights in August, he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks, and he tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope, he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail, and the shell of a great, great, great grandfather snail. Then he pulls up the pail, makes most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you've paid him in his snuvy, in his secret strange hole inside his grovelous glovey. Then he grunts, I will call you by my whisper, my phone, for the secrets I tell you are for your ears alone. Slip down slips the whisper, my phone, to your ear, and the old Onceler whispers are not very clear, since they have come down through a snurgledly hose, and he sounds if he had smallish bees up his nose. Ouch. Now I'll tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back when the days where the grass was still green and the pond was still wet and the clouds were still clean. And the song of the swami swans rang out in space. One morning, I came to this glorious place. And at first, I saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright-colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile in fresh morning breeze. And under the trees, I saw brown barbaloots frisking about in their barbalot suits as they played in the shade and ate tuftula fruits. From the rippleless pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. But those truffulous trees, all my life I'd been searching for those trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much more softer than silk, and they had sweet smell of freshly buttermilk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do. I unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a truffula tree with one chop. And with a great skillful skill and with a great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft, and I knitted a thneed. The instant I finished, I heard a gazump. I looked. I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree that I chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues. And I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset, and he shouted and puffed, What's that thing you made out of the truffleous tuft? The Lorax said, There's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. The thing is a need. A thief's to find something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses. Yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains or covers for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, Sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that fool's need. But the very next minute, I proved he was wrong, for just at that minute, a chap came along, and he thought the need I had knitted was great, and he happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. You poor guy, you'll never can tell what some people will buy. I repeat, cries the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I'm busy, I told him. Be quiet, if you please. I rushed across the room in no time at all. I built a radio phone. I built it, put it in quick call. I called all my brothers and uncles and aunts, and I said, Listen here. Here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the road to the North Niche. Turn left at Weehawken and sharp right at South Snitch. And in no time at all, the factory I built, the whole Onceler family was working to full tilt. We were knitting threads just as busy as bees to the sound of the chopping of truffle trees. Oh, baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented a super axe hacker, which whacked off the fir truffle trees at once. Who whacked off 4 truffleous trees at one smacker. We were making thneeds 4 times as fast as before. And that Lorax? He didn't show up anymore. But the next week, he knocked on my door. He snapped, I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I am also in charge of the brown babaloots who played in the shade with their barbaloot suits and happily lived eating truffleous fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffle fruit to go around. And my poor barbaloots are all getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. They loved living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may Good luck, boys, he cried as he sent them away. I, the Onceler, felt sad as I watched them all go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm, I most truly did not. But I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered the loads of needs I shipped out. I was shipping them forth to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more needs, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. Then again, he came back. I was fixing some pipes when that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. I'm the Lorax. He coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffled. He snargled, he sniffed. Onceler, he cried with a querulous croak. Onceler, you're making such smogless smoke. My poor swami swans, why, they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has snog in his throat. And so, said the Lorax, please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape from the smog you've smogged up around here. What's more, snapped the Lorax, his dander was up, let me say a few words about the gluppity-glup. Your machinery chungs on day and night without stop, making gluppity-gulp, also sloppity-slop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old Onceler man, you. What does he do with it? You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off, while their future is jury. They'll walk on their fins to get woefully weary, in search of some water that isn't so sneery. And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap and say bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering and biggering and biggering, turning more truffleless trees into needs, which everyone needs. Oh my goodness. I should say they were both quite upset. And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack. From outside in the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall. The very last truffula tree of them all. No more trees, no more needs, no more work to be done. So in no time, my uncles and aunts, every one, all waved me goodbye. They jumped into the cars and drove away under the smoke-smuggered stars. Now all that was left beneath the bad-smelling sky was my big empty factory, the Lorax, and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance, just gave me a very sad backward glance as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants. And I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hoisted himself and took leave of the place through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks with one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. That was long, long ago. But each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. But now, said the Onceler, now that you're here, the word for the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the Onceler, and he lets something fall. It's a truffula seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of that truffula seeds, and truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula, treat it with care, give it clean water, and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from the axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. So at this time, I'm speaking for the trees. Cougars, the moral of this story is don't be greedy and take care of the earth as well as other things that you have. See you soon.